Women get branded with labels.
I use them all.
I guess I keep waiting to find out what old is. I don't know that I ever felt young either. There's a lot of books about how to stay young, how to be young, as if there's something wrong with being not young.
I'm old. There's a million other ways to look at life, and you better start looking fast.
Can you be beautiful and also be aged?
When does old happen?
Old to me means enriched, knowledgeable, beautiful.
Why do you seem the same, only even better?
Well, probably because I just haven't gotten around to getting older. I've had the heyday. I'm 80. Well, you could say 80 and 3/4. But I have to say, I never felt old.
Do you feel old?
No.
I don't even think about age.
I don't know what old feels like.
I guess you get points for surviving.
The beauty that we have at this time in our lives transcends other kinds of beauty.
I've never been more powerful than I am now.
Why did you want to make this documentary? I want everybody who sees it to look at us and say, you know, this is what you have to look forward to.
A reporter asked me not so long ago, what was I most proud of in my life? I said, I haven't done it yet.
I'm a treasure trove of history.
I could not imagine myself waking up one morning and saying, well, what is my purpose today?
I couldn't have written this book as a younger person, I don't think.
As long as we're on this earth, then I want to live every day. Whenever there is something that is exciting, I'm going to do it.
For my birthday, I said, I want a pair of skis. And my husband, of course, thought I'd lost it.
How do you feel about your body?
Well, I still like most of it.
The same thing is exciting now as what was always exciting all my life. Love, sex.
That at some point, physical intimacy goes away, or...
What point is that, Dylan?
Well, I don't know.
We see ourselves as very viable sexual beings.
You know, you learn how to operate the vehicle better.
They said, you're a sex symbol. Oh, my goodness, am I? At the age of 80, I love every moment of it.
What do you think makes you a woman like that? Because I dared to do stuff people told me I shouldn't do.
I don't ever take a day for granted, not one. We came to talk to you because you are a woman like that.
Well, I am a woman like that.
Yeah.
I am a woman like that.
Well, you have to interview me because I am a f***ing icon. I mean, everybody tells me that.
So if you're old, fine, I'm glad I made it. Because nothing in the world could make me feel more happy and proud.
I would live it all over, live it again and live it again, in order to have the days of joy. They make up for everything.
Hi. What a nice welcome. Elaine and I texted each other this morning to coordinate our outfits. The shoes, we were off a little bit, but I think otherwise it works.
I think we're all nicely coordinated.
I think so too. Ladies, I want to start by saying, congratulations. This is such an inspiring, amazing, uplifting documentary about a topic that is basically verboten, which is aging in women, and how it's a gift to age. It's the greatest thing in life.
If you're lucky enough, you get to be old, you know? And there's, you know, if you've been around long enough, you know people that have died too soon. And I'm still blessed to have my mother with me. And she so inspired me that I wanted to explore the whole subject of the upper decades of our lives.
And it was just a real surprise that she wanted me to get back behind the camera, and I protested that I was too busy, and but evidently, you know, she finally made me stop doing what I was doing and get started on something we both cared about, to let people know that there's so much to look forward to in being old.
And I love, by the way, that you said that you were too busy, not too tired.
Yes, well, she's always busy. I mean, she was in the middle of writing a book at that time, and she was going to go on this trip to Europe, and I mean, there was just so many things going on that she was more busy than I was. And, you know, but my mother had won an Emmy for a documentary that she did a while back, and she was the only one that could direct this and interview the women.
How did this whole project come together? Talk me through the moment when you realized that this would make a great documentary.
Well, I was on location shooting a movie, and she often comes to visit me. And, you know, she just sort of arrives, and she jumps off the plane, and she's running around, and I'm like, where did my mother go? And she's off talking to the DP, or, you know, she's just, you know, everyone really always responds to my mother and her vitality and her intelligence and her stories. And I thought, you know, what makes you like that? Why were you the only mom that I knew that had all the candles on the cake and was always very honest about this process? So I said, why don't we explore this in a documentary, gather a group of women that are like you, and find out what's the secret? Like, is there a through line? And then you said, no, well, I can't possibly, I'm far too busy. But eventually we did gather this group of women, and then we started shooting here in New York.
And how did she convince you? Did she have to bribe you, take you on a trip, buy you a car? What was it?
Such a bully.
I had to pester you.
No, it really, ultimately, I really was so grateful for the opportunity to meet the women that we find. We started saying, well, who should we have? Who else would we talk to? And the first one was Rita Moreno said Virginia called her, cold call.
I just got her number and said, ask her if it's okay if I talk to her, because, I mean, she was such a legend. And I talked to her for about 3 minutes, and she just said, yes, you know, with this real attitude. And once we got Rita, you know, we were able to get Eartha. And this is, by the way, Eartha Kitt's last appearance on film. And it was a great honor to meet her. And then one woman sort of led to the next woman, and we got hardly any resistance at all from anyone.
And you guys have such a diverse group of women, because you could have easily gone the Hollywood route, but I mean, you kind of covered the gamut of industry and accomplishment.
Well, that's really was our intent. The most important thing to me was that there not be just recognizable women. I thought it was really important that just, you know, women who are living these decades of their lives in the most interesting way they can find. And that's what I thought would be inspiring to be a lot of people, because they'd look at a celebrity and say, oh, well, of course, they look so great and they have a lot of money. Not always. And
which part?
And so it just worked wonderfully. And all of the women have been so enthusiastic about it. Took us really a long time. We finished the film, but selling it was another thing, because I really think some of those people behind the desks, you know, maybe looked at a few minutes of it and said, oh, this is about old ladies.
It's about old ladies, oh my God, and they talk about sex, what? And so I was like, well, they probably didn't watch the whole thing. I'm just gonna keep going and keep trying, and someone will get it.
She just never gave up.
Never gave up.
We found Virgil Films, and they believed in us, and that's why we're here today, because they told
Yeah, they got it. They really got it.
But the best thing is you really watched the film. Yeah. And so we come to talk to you, and it's so gratifying to know that you like the film.
Well, because as I was saying to you guys back there, you know, people celebrate birthdays, and you know, and I'm in my 40s, and they complain, you know, oh my God, I don't even want to go out to dinner. There's nothing to celebrate this year, and it's like, how many people do we know that died for whatever reason in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and what they would give to be Rita Moreno,
to have
and
one other
still be
day.
alive and see their grandkids and experience all this?
Yeah.
I think that there's also something particular that begins to happen when someone is fearful of the aging process and when they start to get closer. And some people start feeling that way in their 20s, which is kind of really difficult for me to understand. But when they get closer to their 40s, and I always say, listen, man, if you get like upset about turning 40, aren't you going to be mad at yourself when you turn 60? You'd be like, oh, why did I waste that time? But it's just that the more years you have, the more experience you gain, and you gain more confidence. You just feel better. I've never felt so confident and so beautiful and so sexy and so optimistic about my life and my career as I do right now.
That's my line.
Well, and one of my favorite lines in the movie, I mean, a lot of them are from Lauren Hutton, because I think she's just, and I mean, she's a goddess.
Yeah, she's emerging as the star of this film.
I mean,
for
she
sure.
really is a goddess in every sense. But, and here's like a former supermodel who let you guys shoot her in full natural light with, I think, no hair and makeup. I mean, it looked like she just pulled her hair back, and that was that. Who would do that? But not when she talks about sex, but when she says that the best part of getting older is that you learn more, even though you forget a lot of it.
Yes, she's right. You get smarter, and I hope that, you know, when I was watching my mother with these women, and I was like, that's where I want to go. That's the kind of woman, I want to be a woman like that when I grow up.
So, and you ladies were saying that you wanted to find if there's a through line to these
Yes.
stories. Did you find a through line?
Yes, the thing that every woman possessed, whether it was one of our recognizable women or any of the others who live other kinds of lives, there was an attitude. You know, the piece of music at the end of our movie is Bad to the Bone. And I kind of like, yeah, we're bad because we're not fulfilling the prescription that society says we should have. And that attitude, I think, is something all of us had. All of us were born in the Depression. Every woman in our film was born in the Depression. And some of us had mothers who were flappers and grandmothers who were suffragettes. And I think because we were born when we were, the atmosphere, the culture in which the country was living in the Depression was one of being resourceful. Our parents had to make every penny count. All of us started work at a very early age, and we have a work ethic, and that comes in handy when maybe this career runs out or something else happens. We know how to try again. We know how to look for that open door that maybe somebody who didn't have that early background doesn't know how to do, and we do.
Do you ladies think, and you're both obviously Hollywood icons, do you think that the industry, I mean, it used to be, let me backtrack a little bit, it used to be that at 30 your career was over. Do you think that Hollywood has become more open to working or featuring women above the age of 40? I mean, I feel like you're seeing more projects and movies.
Well, if you're trying to go out and finance any kind of a project starring or about women, you're going to run into a lot of closed doors. The female presence on the big screen is just almost entirely gone. However, we have changed the rules ourselves, and our stories live online and in small independent films, because we no longer have to have a green light to, and we don't have to be distributed in theaters. So there's a platform and there's a home for many different kinds of documentaries and many different kinds of stories to be told, and a lot of those stories are our stories. So if we see that things are not going right, and there's a certain perception of this industry right now, we are the ones that have to change it. And there's a lot of really great people in my industry that are changing that aren't really listening to whatever the powers that be dictate we should do or not do. So yes, it has changed, but it's something that is still very difficult. As far as my career, I have to say that it's better than it ever was in my 20s, because when you're just playing the ingenue or the chick or the girlfriend, or, you know, they don't give you real friendships to portray, or they don't give you real sexuality to portray. You know, you don't have much to say at all as a young female. And so the older I get, now the women that I play have whole lives behind them and in front of them, and I get to play these really sometimes very powerful women, and now I've got a lot to say in my roles. So it's, for me, it's better.
And speaking of sexuality, your documentary, I can gush about it for hours, but we don't have hours. One of the things I loved so much about it was that, dear God, ladies, you go there.
Yeah, we do.
With all of them, all of your interviews.
Yeah, well, I'd say in life as well. After 41 years of being single, I got married to a really smart, wonderful
very handsome
man who's my age, who's very handsome, and
you go.
Good loving.
Yes, it was really, it really was quite something to see my mother, who's always been such an incredible, independent woman, and to see her fall in love so deeply and then decide to commit to marriage at 80. It's changed something in me. I don't know, you know, because I don't ever remember my mother being married.
I guess it just shows that you're never too old to start something new, right?
No,
I mean,
no.
God, I should write Hallmark cards. I mean, really, people. You would totally buy that card.
It really helped that he is a feminist at heart. Has every masculine quality that you would like, but he had no suggestions about how I should change. He liked me just the way I am.
Now, how do you guys define aging? Because I think that's a topic that's explored very much in the documentary.
It is a process of growth. There are things that happen as you get older, as far as energy or as far as agility. If you're lucky and there's no major health issue that comes, there's all these things that begin to change, like when you were an adolescent. Your body begins to change, so you have to have resourcefulness and curiosity about, well, okay, that hurts. How do I do it differently? And it's just been a process of growing into a new time in my life.
And what about you, Virginia? You were just saying that you've never felt sexier or more confident or more together.
Yes, and I as I've matured, it's probably only been this year that I've started to notice certain changes that I resent. Like, I'm really pissed off that my eyesight suddenly dramatically
Oh my
changed.
God, don't even.
And like,
do not even get me started on that.
I mean, nothing else has bothered me. Nothing else has bothered me, the perception of me or the way Hollywood looks at aging. Like, I'm like, fuck you, you know? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, except I just don't want to put on those readers. I refuse. So now I'm sending all the wrong information to people. Like, my texting is terrible, and I'm like, oh, it was spell check on the iPhone, that was the problem. And like, I'm lying about my eyesight. Like, oh, well, I dropped the phone, you know? And so this is the first kind of little bit of, ego that has sort of come in, but overall, it's the gaining experience that has been really fulfilling.
There's one other thing. Gravity sucks.
See, I think you look fantastic, both of you. And you look fantastic. But you look fantastic the way you're meant to look fantastic. Not, you see a lot of people and you're like, whoa, did you walk through a wind tunnel? Wow.
Yeah, some people look rather surprised. Or they look like they've had an allergic reaction because they're so injected. But I don't know, some people like that look, okay. You said something very interesting about when a woman has been beautiful and she, because basically you think like, you pretty much look the same for about 30 years. A little change here, a little change, some crow's feet and everything, and all of a sudden, like, you really start changing. And for some people, that's jarring, but if that's all you have to offer, if you believe that this outer face in beauty was all you had to offer to the world, then you have to look a lot deeper and figure out what's going wrong, because that's not what we're made of. We have, and you have an opportunity to discover other things that you have to offer and what the world has to offer you.
And that actually brings us back to the issue of aging, which is the longer you're alive, hopefully, if you look internally a little bit, you can discover that. So what is something that in this decade each of you has learned about yourselves that has surprised you?
Oh, that's a hard one. What did we learn that was surprising?
Mom.
Well,
Elaine.
I guess the thing is that I'm still curious about so many things. I never intended that this film was going to be my swan song. And because I'm a writer, and I just know that I still have so many things to wonder about and to learn about. And I guess if someday I run out of questions, maybe that's when I'll say I'm old. But it hasn't happened.
What about you?
Gosh, I'm really glad I have a job. What has surprised me? I think I was very surprised to find myself falling in love. And because I didn't need anyone. I was just fine on my own. And that was, and sort of the way that I feel about being in a partnership right now is so different than the way I felt as a married person in my 20s, and this sort of definition of what you were supposed to be as a wife and how he was supposed to be as a husband, and the way that we were supposed, this is my Midwest upbringing, that there was a certain way that you had to be together. And because, my son is grown, and I don't have to live in a traditional way with traditional roles. So and that just seemed to kind of happen to me. It kind of just grew in my life, and I'm very surprised at how much I'm being myself in a relationship. it took me a long time to figure that out.
Hey, at least you did. And last question before our audience Q&A. What are you guys doing for Mother's Day on Sunday?
We're going to be together.
We're going to have some fabulous brunch, and we're going to eat, and we're going to drink a lot.
Yeah.
As one should.
Wine.
And now for our audience, I'm sure you have questions.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for coming. You both look great. I'm glad that you mentioned Eartha Kitt because she's one of the women that I really admire, and she has like an interesting clip on the internet about compromise in love and relationships. So I wanted to ask you, what love advice would you give younger women based on your own experience and your maturity?
Advice for younger women?
Yeah. Love advice.
Love advice? Well,
lady, you're a newlywed. You got some love advice to share.
Well, I really think that the most valuable thing you can do is ask questions. Don't settle for what is just in front of you. Look behind it. And if you get into trouble, make sure you're straightforward about the steps that you did that got you there. Everything is not your fault, but it's really important that look before you step, because it's like there's a path in front of you that may be mostly like there's a sewer running under it, but there's some solid rocks and there's some people who can give you a hand, and look carefully and find the worthy person to ask questions of and to share with.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. Your turn.
Oh, what she said. No, I think I would say that someone asked me, what would you say if you could meet your 25-year-old self? And I would say, you're probably right. Remember, you're probably right. If you've got an instinct about something or you have something to say, more often than not, a younger person will get shut down or not listened to and try and sway you to do something different than what you thought was right. So remember that the voice that's in the back of your head is, you're probably right.
Next question.
Hey ladies, so inspiring. I can't wait to see this. So I know this is gonna make you nauseous, but I'm 27 and some of my friends got married and some of my friends are like how Donna described, like we're not in college anymore, we're too old to go out. And while I agree, people have passed away, they already think I'm crazy for trying to go out, so I'm not gonna start saying, people are dying. Do you have any advice on how to kind of effectively get your friends on board with aging?
Feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, and
new
also
friends.
inspire them. Get new friends, yeah. If they're going to slow down at such a young age, I would really seriously look at who they're becoming, because there are some changes that start happening once you get into your 30s that are where, God, when you finally get out of your 20s, it's so much better. The 20s is such a crazy storm of mixed up emotions and relationships and bullshit. And so when you get into your 30s, you start to go, yeah, all right, you guys are cynical, and I'm not. You start to not really want to participate in that kind of negativity, and it's important not to. So you might find friends start to move in different directions, and I would say follow your instinct.
And don't be afraid to make friends with people who are a different age of you. My goodness, there's just such a wealth of wonderful experience out there. Just step out of the groove or the rut you're starting to get into and try another track.
And last question, please.
Hi, ladies. So I'm fascinated by women. My whole life I was raised by a single mother. So I've always been surrounded by women, and I find it interesting that I think men don't always understand this perspective, so I think this is a fantastic documentary to watch. But what would you say for men would be like a key thing for them to understand about women? Because I think you guys have such a huge amount of pressure, not only to be a mother, to be a friend, to be a sister, whatever, but you also have this like worry about beauty that men don't really, I think we don't understand that all the time because it's not a pressure for us. So is that like something that you could say to men that be like, this is what you need to get that we don't get? Because Hollywood is clearly not, making
We're
these
people
movies.
too. We're human beings, just like you. You may have different equipment than we do, but my goodness, we are just human beings. We're individuals just like you. And if you look at a woman as a person and not as someone with all these complicated problems that need to be addressed, you will find some interesting women for friends.
And I urge everyone to watch this documentary. Where can people see it?
It comes out May 10th, and it's going to be available on DVD, on Blu-ray. It'll be on iTunes, Netflix, Hulu, like all the digital platforms. I believe that you can pre-order it on Amazon, I think. But it'll be all over the place.
All over the place.
And so
really watch
it'd be a great
It's-
thing to share and watch with your mom or your dad
or anyone, because
yeah.
this is a topic you don't see addressed very often at all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.